To with Gareth Morgan from Whatculture. This will be going out at the start of December. We're recording it in sort of the end of November. We've got a lot of content going out this month. Hope you enjoy the interview. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hello,
He
everyone.
keeps catching me off guard. Sorry. Every time Tom's
As you can see, I am delighted to be joined by Gareth from Whatculture. How are you today?
Very good. Better now because it's not Phil Chambers that I'm speaking to for a change. So this is quite nice. Yeah, it's lovely.
So just to peek behind the curtain a bit, we're recording this on the 20th of November. This is going to go out like the 5th of December, hopefully. And it should be my last interview of the year, which, first of all, I'm going to start with a bit of a soppy note and just thank everyone for the support this year and everyone I've interviewed for the support, because it's just been crazy for me to get the names I've got on here. And it's like, I started in April and I've had at least an interview every month. And for me, that's just, and we're slowly growing. We're hopefully going to hit 100 subs by the end of the year. Hopefully.
That's the dream.
Would be big for me because this month is my first month to hit 1,000 views on the channel, which is pretty amazing for someone who 2 years ago would be lucky to get 5 views on a football penalty shootout with the granddad.
That's I'd watch that, to be honest. That's good content right there.
So we're going to get into the interview now. So my first question is, how did you start at Whatculture? And we'll get, because this is going to lead to a certain question that I'm sure a lot of people want to know.
Okay. It was an interesting one, actually, because I was a big fan of Whatculture growing up. I went to drama school in London for a couple of years, and as I was kind of going through drama school, I was a massive, avid wrestling fan. Didn't have a lot of wrestling fans that went to school with me, so it was my way of staying connected to that world and not really having many people to chat to about it. It was kind of my little bond with that. So I was always tuned into the channel. And then I moved back to Manchester around 2019 kind of period, I believe, 2018, 2019. And whatever you want to call it, like a job opportunity popped up on the website, and they said that they needed somebody who could present and talk about MMA. And I was interested in MMA. I'd watched my fair share, and I had a decent knowledge on it. And I just saw it as a window to get in, like with the channel. Just took a shot. Popped up and said, I've done this, I've done that, I've done my own podcast. Just tried to show a bit of initiative. Yeah. And people in charge thought, okay, there's some potential here. He's not completely terrible. So I started writing a few articles, and I'd never written an article before in my life. And the first couple seemed to go down pretty well. And I probably spent about a month and a half, 2 months consistently writing, earning kind of money through that kind of outlet for a while. And then it got to the point where they said, do you want to come into Newcastle? Do you want to come and have like a trial day where we get you in front of a camera, see if you break the camera just by looking at it? I didn't. I got away with that. So that got to a point where they said, go back and do a few more articles, see where we go there. And then about a week or two later, I got an offer to join the team full time. So yeah, it picked up steam pretty quickly. It felt like it was going to take months and months and months, maybe like 6 months to a year to properly get aboard with the team. But then suddenly I must have shown some form of promise, because before I knew it, I was in Newcastle.
So with the MMA side of things, obviously I remember, because I don't really watch much MMA. I'm not really more a wrestling person. So I know you started with sort of that side of things, and I remember you coming on to the wrestling side of things saying about, I forgot the name of the channel.
Most people have, hence why it's
so I remember you hopping on that, and this was 2016, wasn't it? 2017-ish.
That was the start of 2020. That was it. I remember. Trust me, I remember specifically because so there was a Whatculture UFC MMA type channel. And that probably was 2016, 2017, but then it, for whatever reason, didn't really catch fire, and we attempted like a reboot/revamp our own NXT 2.0. Yeah. It was because it was when Connor came back. That was the big push. We were trying to like jump on the Connor steam and do a nice big
Yeah,
I don't know, soft relaunch of Combat. We went Whatculture Combat. That was our new
that was the
group
name.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, it was awkward.
So, so for you, was the thing with the combat channel, was that sort of something you were happy to do and stay away from the wrestling side of things and concentrate on that? Or was it always the idea of I want to bounce between the two and do certain things?
I like the idea of being able to dance between both. I think the Combat channel was my baby to a certain degree because I'd been brought in specifically with that in mind, and they knew that I had like knowledge, and obviously I'm an actor, so film and TV was quite easy. I could jump into the main channel and do all that, and then wrestling. I've been a wrestling fan since like 2004, so I kind of had a decent enough knowledge there as well. Huh? Sorry.
Since I was born.
Did you? Oh, you're making me feel old now. My goodness. Yeah. Well, there you go. So like from 2004, so WrestleMania 20 boy, yeah, that's what got me on board. So it was they knew that I had that in my back locker, so I could jump in, and I was always kind of going, can I go on the wrestling channel as well, please? I really like wrestling. But the combat stuff was like myself. I believe Adam Nicholas was a big driving force behind it. Edited a lot of my videos and did a lot of stuff, and he kind of got my feet under the table, let's say, with Whatcultures in general. But it was definitely something I was kind of behind, and I had a lot of investment time that I'd put into it, and it just was what it was, really. I mean, we tried to make it a bit different because we didn't want it to be just seen as I don't know, a spin-off of the wrestling channel. So we didn't just want people to look at it and go, oh, it's just the wrestling boys trying to do MMA. We wanted it to be an MMA channel for MMA fans, and if anybody wasn't an MMA fan, stumbled upon it, they could make it quite accessible as well. So it was just, we were trying to cover a lot of bases, and sometimes these things just don't spark in the way that you'd hope, and it just got to a point where we thought, it's not quite clicking. I did a lot of things for it though. I was training shoot wrestling with a brilliant coach master it was at Team Phoenix in Jesmond, very close to Jesmond, and that's in Newcastle. That's kind of
we'll get on to the whole Newcastle thing because
okay,
I live in Cheshire, I'm up in Newcastle quite often.
Oh really? Oh, very nice.
A bit all over the place.
Hey, we're all are, trust me. That's a good sign. It means you're well traveled.
So we'll get back onto sort of Whatculture thing, but there's one question quite quick into the interview I want to go into, and I'm sure you know what's coming.
Uh-oh.
So there was a quiz video, and there was a punishment for that video. How much did you know about that before agreeing to be in that certain quiz video?
It had been spoken about, kind of in passing.
Mentioned.
You'd like to think it was spoken about, just thrown on you on the day. Some things are, trust me, it's a very fluid workplace, the Whatculture office. So some things are just thrown on you. But this one, we had a bit of an inkling it was coming. That actually turned out that video was the last video we did in the office for about a year and a half. Because it was the last thing we can't say.
Can you say it on YouTube now?
Sorry?
You can say it on YouTube now, can't you?
Yeah. I think we've got overcome it.
Got over that now.
The rest of it. So it was it was a weird moment, that, because there were only a few of us in the office all together, and we started to commit to what was coming, what was on the horizon, and what we thought was a Brutus the Barber Beefcake quiz. No, sorry, what we thought was a WrestleMania quiz. It was
a WrestleMania quiz, and then I think Adam changed it into that.
He's just a
midway through.
Man. It's what he does. He's always got these little plans, and I think it was
at the time I was isolating.
All right.
At the start of COVID, because I didn't have COVID. Some of the family did. When did it? Because it came out like quite either we're in lockdown or we're just about to start.
We did it on April Fool's because it was an April Fool's twist.
It was. That was we were doing that. And I remember it coming up, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. Because it was about WrestleMania time. I'm like, oh, this is normal. And halfway through, I sat in a pair of clippers on the thumbnail. Yeah. And just been like, eh? And then I was watching it like, no way are they actually going to do this. They're going to do some like storytelling, going to do like a joke on WWE. Nope. You had to shave your head.
We commit here at Whatculture. And I think a bit of it was a bit of promotion for manscaping as well, because I think we had some manscaping products come through, and they were like, oh, we're using manscaping clippers, and did a pretty good job. He did it. He did it. Yeah, it's a new look. It was very jarring because I'd never shaved my head.
You committed to it though. You've kept it.
It was, yeah, but I think it was ushering along nature's will anyway. To be honest, I think we were getting towards there, and you think you learn this. It's one of them. They don't really give you what's the word? They don't really give you a guide as to how to handle YouTube. Let's say that's probably the best way of putting it. So when you do your videos and all the rest of it, sometimes you get lovely comments, sometimes you get negative comments. It's just the nature of the beast.
I've had a few in the last few weeks that haven't been particularly the most kind.
It's one of the, and the best advice with that. Don't read them. I know it's very generic. It's very generic. I mean, there's certain videos where you do need your audience kind of interaction. You need to understand what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying. Fully get that. For example, when we did ups and downs, NXT ups and downs, you do need to understand what's clicking and what's not. So you do have to delve into them. But for the most part, whatever you feel when you get a positive one, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to outweigh how you're going to feel when you get a negative one. So it's probably just best to.
I mean, for me, I just think if you've got the time to comment on someone's negative comment on someone's video, like, what's your life? Like, you sat there just thinking someone who isn't a very big channel that you know is going to see it, and you comment that, I'm like, I just laugh at her. I'm like,
It's one of them. Nine times out of 10. I tend to use this phrase quite a lot in my life because it's one of those things where the people who put in these comments wouldn't have the guts to do what you're doing. So it's just water off a duck's back. You look at it and just go, fine. You wouldn't say it to my face. It's cool. This is just some algorithm. Just treat it like a robot in outer space. It's just not.
It is. That's what YouTube is nowadays. It's literally a robot. But I had a video on 43 views 2 weeks ago, and now it's on, I think, 800 and something. And it's just gone from nothing to someone posted a link in Reddit, and it's just gone. And I'm like, okay, take that.
Those views are substantially better than the ones we were getting on Whatculture Combat, I'll have you know. He's smashing it, mate.
Going back onto the sort of Whatculture and that sort of thing, and then I'm going to go on to younger you and more wrestling things and also about this year. So, Whatculture, how because you said you're a fan of Whatculture.
Yeah.
How different is it being involved in Whatculture than it is watching Whatculture?
It's a very good question because it's interesting because at first you get this there's an anxiety that comes with it because you're meeting people that you watch on a daily basis. It's like anything. If you watch a TV show and you meet the people who are in it, it's one of those where
I have that every time I do one of these. I'm like, oh,
we try and be as nice and as laid back as we can, I guess. Like we're all
I've been extremely lucky, and I am extremely lucky. Everyone I've interviewed, apart from one person, has been a genuinely really nice person.
That's good.
And it's been like, actually, that's a bit harsh. They were really nice, but like, I think everyone I've interviewed has been lovely. But when I've interviewed a couple of wrestlers that I've done, I've been worried that they're going to do it in character.
Get an MJF.
Shout out to Franco. He's an independent wrestler who does stuff all over the world. And for my charity thing, I interviewed him, and he was a heel at the time. And I was scared to show up, be a heel. Turns out he is the most chilled guy in the world. He was lay on his couch with his phone propped up on a tripod, chilling, and we had a great chat.
That's good.
I'll put the little I button up there. Go watch it.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That now, so that's good.
Nice plug. Nice. See, there you go. Master at work. Yeah, cheeky plug in the middle of the video. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. But it's nice that, and it's good that you have that rapport with them beforehand, just to say, right, are we going to go down that route? We're going to go down this route.
I don't mind that honestly, because I think that would do well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I'd love to do a shoot in like a in-character interview with someone.
Yeah.
Did you see I had one with Alex Reynolds a few weeks ago, and that was a wonderful chat. Such a nice guy. Yeah. And hopefully, I'm not going to say who, but we have a big name coming next year.
Wow.
It's very close to happening. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know who it is, because I almost tag them in something every day. I've been very sort of, please can I interview, please can I interview, please can I interview, here's my channel. They like the tweet, I'm like, just reply, say yes and no. Now we're close to that happening, so that should be good.
Keeping the fingers crossed for you there.
That's so.
You got me intrigued. Now I'm very intrigued. Now I can't wait.
I'll tell you when the cameras are stopped. I will tell you.
Shuts up. Okay.
So, Whatculture is for me such a again, I had a project for college, and we had to take inspiration for different things, and I did Whatculture for the podcast and the new stuff, and also Cultaholic, Crossing the Bridges, the Forbidden Door, Kicked
Oh
Wide Open.
yes. Oh yes.
About that, and I think a lot of people were like, "So there's channels about this." I'm like, "Yes, they have 2 million subscribers. They're insane. Their videos are wonderful, and the lists." So often when I click on a list, it's you voicing over it. And how many takes, or how easy, or how difficult is it to do it?
To do it, it's an interesting beast, and everyone's got their own way of doing it. I think you see some people who can just stream off line after line after line after line. They can just, they've been doing it for years. It's a piece of cake. I found it. I've had a bit of training through voiceover work just in the past, again through drama school, being an actor. Kind of, I have a certain amount of comfortability, if that's a word, with it. And early on, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I'd do lines over and over and over again just to make sure it was bang on. But that's very time consuming, and it's a business at the end of the day. So it got to a point where I had a little birdie in my ear just kind of saying, it does have to be absolutely 100% the best thing that's ever come out of your mouth every single time. And that's something, it's one of those things, sometimes you need to hear that just to kind of give yourself a bit of a break, going, right, can people understand what I'm saying? Cool. Take your ego out of the equation. That's enough.
Yeah.
And now it's got to a point where I can comfortably do them to, I hope, a decent standard and not really think too much. I used to get quite, I don't know, I think anxious is the word again. I used to do the videos and then wait for them to drop online and watch them and critique them and do everything out and really invest a lot of my own time into trying to get better at it. But sometimes it'd act as a bit of an obstacle in my brain, because I'd be like, oh, if I said this wrong, it's going to be on YouTube and all these people are going to see it. And it becomes, you go into the actual recording process just full of angst and not really giving your best performance. Like you probably know yourself now when you're in these interviews, when you feel relaxed and comfortable and just confident, that's when the best stuff starts.
That's what I've learned to do personally, because the first ones I did were for a charity thing. The sort of, I could put in the email or the DM, oh, it's for a charity thing. And they wouldn't say anything if it was rubbish, it's a charity thing. But now people like you are kind of giving up their time to just do it for a personal one. Hopefully people listen to this, and then if I'm rubbish, I don't know, you could say something to go in the office and Whatculture and say, oh, that was rubbish. And then it's like, we never would either way, and it's definitely so that would be like a thing that I know a lot of people would do, because I mean, I'm going to give a shout out to Tom Talks Rubbish here, because his interviews are really good. So I'll give him a link in the description. He's helped me out a lot, and he's done a lot of you guys. We talk quite often about them, and like, oh, who have you got coming up? Who are you doing?
I'm actually doing a chat with Tom soon. I've just started that out. Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting in this space, because people like you are kind enough to give us the time for it, and then it's sort of, hopefully this builds with Whatculture, and hopefully one day, like, you want everyone to have success. And I think with Whatculture and with Cultaholic and with a load of other YouTube channels that are quite big on YouTube, they are helping the smaller creators like me to build as a place where I can have people on and stuff like that.
Well, that's it. You've got to be mindful of that in kind of, I wouldn't say in the position that like people like myself and the people at Whatculture, Cultaholic, people like that are in. You've got to be mindful that it's not an industry where there's an easy pathway into getting into certain areas, if that makes sense. It's somewhere where you need someone to not offer a hand, but just to be like, okay, here's how I did it. You could do it this way, or you could do it another way. And it's just hearing how attainable it can be just through a route. But for myself, I didn't know how to get into it. I just stumbled into my own way of doing it. And then when you speak to people at Whatculture, you go, oh, how'd you get into it? And it's like, I did it completely different. It's like, oh, that's really interesting. There's so many different ways of just, if this is something you want to do and you want to just climb into YouTube, the crazy world that is YouTube, then it's just nice to know that there's no set way of doing it.
No,
and
like I've always said from the start of it, I'm not expecting this to be a job. It's never, I'm one of those people like, when I go off and do YouTube, I want to do radio. I'm studying to do radio.
Very good.
This helps with me because I can interview people on the radio, and this helps. If I can get something out of it where it's successful, that's amazing. But it's never something that I'm put all my eggs into one basket and gone, right, this is what I'm going to go on to. We've gone on to a massive segue here.
No, this is cool. This is cool. No, I'm enjoying this. Yeah, it's good because this is something we don't necessarily speak about a lot because it doesn't come up in a natural conversation really for the most part. So it's nice being able to just talk about it, and just it's one of those things where you getting your reps in. I think that's somebody said that to me a couple of years ago, and it's like with this kind of thing where you don't feel like necessarily you're at the point where you want to be yet, you're still kind of cutting your teeth. It's getting the reps in, it's doing more interviews, it's the more hours you spend in front of this chatting to people, you're only going to get better. You're not going to get worse from doing that. That's I think that's literally impossible to get worse than where you were like 6 months ago. So
I watched that my first interview with Tom, and Tom carried me through that. He was just like, there you go, carry you through it.
Dude, look my first video opposite Adam Cleary on the Whatculture channel. Trust me, that's a carry job. Yeah, I know all about carry jobs.
Yeah, it's some people just have it, and you can learn to have it, and you can discover to have it, but until you're around someone with it, you can't discover it. Like that's one thing I've found.
Yeah, it's just because you can see what it is then, and you're next to it, and you feel the energy of it, and you're like, okay, that's what I need. Give me some of that. That's cool. You're not just going to discover that sat on your own to a certain degree, but equally, you are going to find your own voice, and you're going to find that just by just being yourself, really, and just believing in what you're doing, and just being like, okay, this is my body, this is what I do, this is my voice, this is the way I control or manage or direct an interview, and I can trust that that's going to be different to what somebody else is doing because nobody else is me. So that's a big
one thing
that
I've learned this year is the fact that I think the production quality of my videos could be a lot better, because at the moment I'm using a quite old laptop. I have a mic sat there that I got her doing my GCSEs that I haven't set up yet, and I'm going to get a webcam at Christmas/birthday because they're 5 days apart, so it's sort of helpful in that way. And then because at the moment I'm recording this in my living room. I have an amazing background upstairs, which I spent a lot of time, a lot of money on, that look really nice, that I really want to use, but the internet's just not strong enough. So I've got a connector which can help, but it's just setting all that up and making sure there's space.
It's the building blocks. It's the building blocks that people, when you think you're some kind of like overnight success, if you could be that on YouTube, people just think, oh, they've got this setup ready made, and it's like, no, this takes months and years.
Yeah.
And
I remember at the start of the year, I went to my mum 2 years ago, I want my room to be full of wrestling stuff. I think this could be interesting conversation as well about being a wrestling fan in the UK. You mentioned before you didn't have many friends that were wrestling fans.
Yeah, it was. I'd say in high school, we used to like beating the crap out of each other. So we had there was a couple of wrestling fans. We had it was up until probably I'd say around 2008, 2009. I think that's when everyone started falling off, and I was still just deeply committed. And yeah, since there it became a bit of a taboo subject, I guess.
It really is.
Because that's difficult.
I've only been a wrestling fan since, I would say, WrestleMania 35 was the first Mania I ever watched.
Right. That's the one with all the lads went, all the Whatculture lads were at Mania 35. That was a big one.
And the Iconics illegal. That's an iconic line. Talking of that match, that's the match that made me a wrestling fan.
Really?
That moment.
Oh, Adam Wilborn, I love you, buddy. That's
that moment that them two had after the match. I was like, I love this.
Yeah, great. Just unfiltered joy.
Yeah, and it took me a few years to be able to be like, do you know what? I'm a wrestling fan. I don't care. Because at school, people were horrible about it. And I'm like, oh, just shut up. Like, if you want to be happy. But this is what I do to be happy.
I think there's something in being a wrestling fan that kind of inspires that in people, where because it's something that you really enjoy, and for the most part, it's seen in a weird negative light for people who don't understand it.
You don't understand it. You can't understand it.
The people who don't, you kind of, because you spend your life going, okay, I like it. Just it's fine if you don't. Just leave do it. I'm not gonna crap on something that I don't like that you like. I'm just gonna let you do your own thing. I think with that, you develop a weird empathy towards when people like have got like a secret hobby or something they don't want to talk about. If they reveal it to you, you kind of sit there and just you become more receptive to it, and you can chat to people about these more taboo to a certain degree, not extreme horrible stuff, but like stuff that's like, oh, I'm really into stamp collecting. It's like, really? Well, that's really cool. And like, because that's how you would have liked to have been received when you talk about wrestling, when instead of somebody going, it's just fake. And you're like, any TV show you watch, any movie you watch is fake.
That's what I say.
That whole thing.
Mum was like, so I was like to my mum, so you go and watch James Bond, you know what's going to happen in it, but you still go and watch it. Yeah? So is that fake then? Oh yeah, I suppose it is.
It's theatre. It's literally.
I think that's why I'm so drawn to it, is because I'm sure we'll get onto this in a minute. You did drama school, and I'm quite into theatre and stuff like
Very
that.
nice.
This is going to be in a little bit. So this year, I think very importantly, and I've said this quite often, I'm a wrestling fan now. I'm going to show everyone. So because I'm in college now, I can wear what I want, which is great.
Oh, nice.
I just wear wrestling shirts all the time. It's great.
Why not?
I get people. I remember I was wearing, before the incident happened last year, I had a Ric Flair Christmas jumper, and I just had people wooing at me all day, which I found quite funny. Yeah. But now I bought a Sasha Banks Christmas jumper, and I'm burning that Ric Flair jumper, stomping it into the ground, and putting it out of existence.
Yeah, that's been a time. That's to be honest, that's probably a good thing to semi-chat about. If that's something that I didn't really understand how difficult it is working at time. It's a great job. Obviously, I'm covering wrestling, covering something I absolutely adore. But when stuff like that pops up, when it's very controversial, very dark, news stories break out like that, and you do have to cover it with a high degree of professionalism as best you can anyway, and understanding of the situation. I didn't realize how difficult that was going to be, because that's not something that kind of gets advertised on the jobs. Like, okay, when this really controversial thing happens, you're going to have to talk about it and articulate it to all the fans out there. And it's like, that's something that you have to develop, I guess. And it's understanding and being able to voice your own opinions without just shooting off into a crazy.
Because like I'm very careful on Twitter that I tweet a lot. Right, I tweet a lot of wrestling, talk about wrestling a lot. But I am very careful because of interviews like this. I don't know if someone is going to scroll through my Twitter and look at what I've said and be like, no, he's not doing it because he said that. Because I use my name on Twitter, even though sort of I spelt wrestling wrong in my Twitter handle. There's a funny story behind that.
It happens.
So like that was very eye-opening for me when that happened, because I watched that and I'm thinking, I just have lost all respect for you now. I don't care if you were a good wrestler. That's gone now. You're an awful person. You don't deserve anything. Go and, with your millions, just go onto an island and just leave.
It's one of them. I think it's as you get older as a wrestling fan, and you start to realize there is a behind the scenes, there is a behind the curtain.
I love that though. This is why I've got into wrestling so much.
Yeah, it's like understanding how a match is built and how characters are formulated. That's fantastic. But then when stuff like this does happen and you can't separate like the art from the person, it's just something you've got to deal with as a fan. You've just got to be mature enough to go, okay, I'm as much as I love this person for what they did in the ring, when they were the character, when I adored them, I can't condone the actions of the person. So it's
luckily I obviously didn't grow up or know much about Ric Flair. He wasn't. But
he wasn't really my era, to be honest. I think I got the dregs of Ric Flair, but with other people, people like Benoit and like people like that, it's like I grew up with Benoit was the main event of my first ever WrestleMania that I fell in love with, and then having to separate that as everything developed. Yeah, that's hard, but it is what it is, and you've just got to, as a fan, go, not on that. I can't just watch. You can't watch them the same way.
Whenever you talk about wrestling, either mention Benoit or now they mention Ric Flair, because that made mainstream news. Like I came into college on that Monday, and I'm in a very small class of like 5 or 6. And my tutor went, "Oh, I read that thing about Ric Flair." I was like, "Oh,
yes." And you're the wrestling representative then. You have to tell
Like
everyone, yes, here's what's happened.
I'm also I'll exclusively announce something now in the middle of this interview.
Oh, wow.
Next year, I'm having a complete rejig of this channel. I'm going away from the fancy booking side of things a little bit because I think I enjoy them, but I don't think they're particularly good. So I might revisit them, redo them a little bit, and make them a bit edited better and things like that. But I'm starting a documentary, 12 parts over the year, one a month, about, it's going to be called The Resurgence of Wrestling. Because I think we're on a verge of a major resurgence with
Definitely.
AEW being as good as it is. And I'm not going to turn this into an AEW WWE thing, but I'll just say, considering the amount of releases they've put out and the way they treat people, for now, I'm not saying I'm done with you. I'm saying I'm going to take a break from you. I'm going to go to local indie shows with that money I spend on WWE stuff. I've recently, since All Out, got the Fight AEW subscription. So I'm watching them every week. Not watched Rampage yet. So sort of like that's what I'm loving at the moment. I'm sure in your job, you can't say that because you'll just get people coming after you and after you and after you and after you.
What, in terms of watching the products, or
Yeah, as in the war. Not a war. It's just
it's not a war.
brilliant
You're right.
promotions.
It's yeah, it's just more content. It's what you want out of wrestling, and obviously we cover it all. So it's one of them where we'll try and watch as much of it as we can. But I don't think it is a war in the way that people want it to. The people that want it to be a war are going to try and facilitate it and just make it into
The
something.
whole Wednesday Night War thing, I get in a way.
People
are still clinging on to the Monday Night War, so anything they can get that.
Yeah, that's what and that was exciting. That was exciting for it. That was when I first came into the company, when the Wednesday Night Wars was still a bit of a thing, and it was an exciting time for wrestling, but it was never going to be a sustainable thing. And I think we saw it when one of the nights moved to a Tuesday just randomly. I think there was hockey on or something like that.
And they
both viewerships got better, and that's what you want. You want more people watching wrestling, not people being split between wrestling. You want the highest viewership possible for every single show, because then everyone wins. The wrestlers get seen more and get paid more because they draw more eyes, and we get more of an opportunity to watch wrestling instead of being told to split our kind of difference all the way through it. It benefits everyone, and
it really does.
It's just crazy that we're in a position where you've got two companies that are so like. One of them is incredibly vibrant right now, and it's got all this like momentum behind it, all these incredible, like super talented performers.
Another at the moment, I'm just gonna say this quickly. At the moment, I am absolutely loving the whole Dante Martin, Leo Rush thing. Every time I'm just watching it, like, what? How are you doing that? Like, I think they're brilliant, but also WWE is brilliant in their own way.
Oh yeah.
And I think there needs to be a major change in how they run their company, but they're not going to do that because they make that much money, they don't care.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's a system
so it's
where
we
not
we
broken
want
in their
things
eyes.
and things aren't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could sit here for hours arguing about it.
I think it'll take time, but I think there will be a time where they do change.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think that'll be like Triple H, if he's well enough, maybe does take over the company.
Yeah, but even that's
people have this fancy thing of as soon as Triple H takes over, it's all going to change.
If he does,
it's going to take 20, 30 years.
It's a different.
Vince is great, right? Without Vince, you wouldn't probably sat there now. I wouldn't be talking about this right now because WWE wouldn't be WWE.
You're right.
It wouldn't be, and I think he gets a lot of disrespect in that way. Yes, he doesn't treat people very well. Yes, he says "pal" too much, but that's Vince.
Hey, pal, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on to a bit of your acting.
Oh wow!
Because I didn't know that about you till you.
Oh, you didn't? Oh no,
so
I hide it well.
You went to acting school.
I did.
What was the sort of inspiration for that?
That is a big question. It's a good question though. I'd say I played around with it at school, and then towards the end of school, somebody said, "Oh, you're okay at this. Why don't you go and pursue it?" So I went to college and did acting, and then at college it kind of grew even more. and I was inspired by, like, I think of not my generation, but my idols, I'd say, growing up was people like Tom Hardy and Marlon Brando, people like that, where I was like, okay, cool, this is ignited something in me that I didn't know was there. And I just love being in front of a crowd. I loved like an audience kind of reacting to things, not necessarily just laughing at things, like just being able to manipulate a crowd and take on a story.
Do you think
I
that was
love
inspired by growing up watching wrestling?
Probably, to a certain degree. I think because that was my first real introduction to what is like pretty much live theatre. I think that subtly, probably under the radar, that probably did have a massive influence on it. But then I started doing a lot of TV stuff as well, which again was quite cool because I guess it's a different muscle you're flexing in terms of acting. But I think theatre's always had I've always had a soft spot, and I think it is probably from the wrestling side of things. And like I've done like pantomime-esque kind of theatre in the past, which is probably incredibly close to wrestling in terms of just having a live feedback with your audience. But yeah, I think weirdly probably did have a big say in how my career unfolded, let's say.
Are you into musicals, or is that not your sort of thing?
I'm a singer. Yeah, I've been in a couple of musicals. Yeah, I've done my
What's your favorite musical?
Oh, I'm a Les Miserables guy, personally. That's my
college tutor. I'm a Hamilton person.
You're a Hamilton. Hey, that's your generation. That's your generation's Les Mis for me.
That's my mum. But I remember she forced me to watch it on a birthday.
Oh wow.
Like, oh, this is rubbish. Then I went and watched it and I'm like, this is really good. Oh, this is really good. This is really good.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I think theatre people don't understand. I think wrestling fans enjoy theatre. And I think this is another topic we're going to go on to here about. I think there's a lot of when you become a wrestling fan, a lot of them are into rock music. So I've sort of started to get into rock music a bit. And then a lot of them are into anime. I don't understand anime one bit. But I was watching The Outer Character with Selena Vega from Ryan Saturn last week. And I was like, oh, I'll watch it at some point. Haven't yet, but I probably will. Like, this is the thing I love about this community where I grew up going to football. I grew up going to Newcastle.
Okay.
I never chanted at football.
I feel very sorry for you. That's the team.
We've just got a takeover, so I'm happy. So we I never chanted at football. I never did anything like that because the football fan base is so toxic when you're at events, and it's like. And then when I go to a wrestling show, like I've been to two, I've been very lucky this year. I've been to the one in Newcastle and the one in Manchester.
Nice.
And the Manchester one, I was like starting stuff and like it was so great. And my granddad's looking like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like everyone's doing. Like you'll see in the intro, people that are watching this. I did a new intro, but I did a woo, and then about 17,000 people wooed, and my auntie just looked at me like, what? Like, welcome to wrestling, people will woo.
That's it.
So, yeah, I mean, this year in wrestling is what I want to talk about, sort of towards the sort of last little bit of this. It's been mental, hasn't it? Like,
a little bit.
What have been your highlights?
What have been my highlights? That's a tough one. I'd say emotionally, and you probably would expect just a wrestling fan in 2021 say emotionally it was a CM Punk moment, but as I know, he's the guy. I've
got the classic.
That's the OG. That's the OG best in the world.
When there was rumblings of him coming back.
Yeah.
I want to know that was like, right, I don't care how much this is. Buying it.
Cracking t-shirt.
I bought it.
That would have normally been my go-to any other year because of what we've been through really with this whole CM Punk saga, like 7 years worth of chanting his name, wanting him to come back. It would have been, but the nature of the last year and a half, however you want to call it, WrestleMania 37, when I think it was Drew McIntyre came down to the ring, and I could hear the crowd. I don't know what I teared up. I got very emotional.
I mean, if you guys watching this want to go and see that moment, skip towards sort of the middle of my 24-hour chat. No, the middle of my 24-hour stream, and you will see it. Because I'd been up for, I think, can't remember how long, but I'd been up for a long time at this point. And it was like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like fans, Like,
It's a really surreal experience after covering everything, because it came at a funny time, weirdly, for me joining Whatculture, because I'd had about 3 months worth of actually working with the wrestling we'd known up until that point, and then suddenly had about a year or so of whatever the hell the Thunderdome era was, and that became I'd work that more than the actual normal. Sorry,
the Thunderdome was brilliant because I got to sit in the crowd. Like, for me, that was good, but also I missed being able to.
I missed it so much, and it became quite. You still love wrestling, and you still love being able to see everyone do the thing, but it became it. And again, you sound very ungrateful when you say stuff like this, because it's incredible what we get to do. We get to talk about wrestling and just share that with everyone. But at times it was a little bit difficult whereas a lot of people may have tuned out because they weren't necessarily interested because there weren't any fans there, which I can understand, but like people were still working their asses off trying to get the best product out there. There were times when you sat there going, ugh, when's it going to end? When are these people going to get an audience again like they deserve so badly? And then when they finally did, it was, like I think it was the SmackDown when they finally got a full audience as well, and you had Edge and Rey Mysterio and Dominic.
Edge and Rey Mysterio, yeah. I remember watching that live and tearing up for that.
Oh, that was big.
Like the pop Edge got, that was monstrous.
Yeah, that was a close emotion wise to when he initially came back. Like that. Oh, the tears.
I remember. It was about 6 a.m. because I woke up early to watch the Rumble. I was still in school at that point, and I remember it was like half 6, and I woke up my whole house screaming because I was a massive Edge fan, and I hadn't even ever seen him wrestle.
Wow.
I just loved him. Like, I thought he was brilliant. I liked the character. I liked the moveset. And I was like, oh my God, Edge is... But I skipped the pop. So I was trying to get through it. I skipped the initial pop.
Oh.
I massively regret that. But it was brilliant.
It's immortalized. It's there forever. Yeah. But that's blown my mind. That's very cool that Edge's legacy was so well documented up to that point that you could fall in love with him as a wrestler without ever really seeing his kind of his rise. Do you know what I mean? I guess you have that with a lot of people, like your Hogans and everyone else. Like you all you can do is just go back and watch them.
Sad, just quickly, you're mentioning that. Sad that Ric Flair, Hogan, when you mention these names, the first thing you come to isn't his amazing career. It's what he's done after it. It's sad. It
can't
really
hide away from the person. If the person isn't a good person, it tends to shine through in the end. So
I think we've found that while we're on this with the whole Charlotte Flair, Becky scenario, which
when we're recording this, it's still not happened yet.
It's happening tomorrow is when it's happening.
It is. My days are blurry. Yes.
Tomorrow. It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Weird build.
Survivor Series is tomorrow.
Weird build. Very weird.
I'll just call it Twitter series because it's all been built on Twitter.
Yeah, pretty much. Ariel Awani, ET Sport. That's pretty much it.
I mean, that's the only match I'm with. Big E Roman's going to be good. It's just going to be good.
But this is it. This is the thing with the WWE pay-per-view at this point. On paper, none of them look bad. It's just the story, like the weight behind everything is it's thin. It's just paper thin. It's just throwing people onto a screen and going,
have a t-shirt.
Put on a good match. Yeah.
Yeah, like I loved the NXT Survivor Series. That was just executed perfect.
That was lightning in a bottle. And if they had half a brain, I understand the 2020 Survivor Series with what was going down with the C word and all the horrible stuff. I get that it wasn't probably the best idea to mix because of what was going down. I get that. But then this year it was a bit of an open goal. We could have maybe brought in a couple of these 2.0.
I've seen Bron Breakker live at the Newcastle show, at the Manchester show. And he was a star.
Oh, he is.
Like he was. You could just tell him, like, right, he's going to be champion in the next 5 years.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, I could see him. I could see him doing it. I think he's incredible pedigree. He's had like 7 matches in NXT and he's already fought over the title. It's mad. Yeah.
He's going to win the title by the end of the year.
Yeah,
War Games, I reckon, will win it.
I'd be interested. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple people. I mean, you can throw all the stones you want at 2.0, and trust me, people are. But there's a couple of people on that brand that I'm tentatively excited about. I mean, WWE's kind of conditioned you in the last 3 months not to get excited about anyone because they could just get cut out of nowhere. But, yeah. I mean, Hit Row the other day. Like that.
That made. The sad thing is, right? My mum was like, "Oh, what t-shirts do you want?" Because this is another thing about buying t-shirts because I can't wear black t-shirts because I'm in condition. It's like I have to find t-shirts of people that I like. aren't black. And like Hit Row had one, got that. Tegan Knox, I'm a massive fan of Tegan Knox. I love her story. It's incredible. Nixon Newell is going to be, I'm so excited for the UK independence.
Yeah.
You've got Rockstar Spud coming back. You've got Damo coming back. You've got Nixon Newell coming back. I reckon Jonah will come over here and just tear it up. Like, there's so many. Keith Lee will probably come back over here at some point.
Yeah. It's an exciting time.
If you get a company that can run a UK show, I reckon you could get an arena and just sell it out in the UK. I don't know what arena, but you could sell out a smaller arena.
I mean, stranger things have happened, and it's one of them now because they've had all this this promotion, you could call it, over the last like couple of years, where they've been on WWE like platform.
Yeah.
All these talents now, the names are going to be changed, but you're going to see the faces and go, oh, he used to be in WWE, cool. And you can just put that on the marquee, former WWE superstar. And it's like
Will Ospreay. Like, if you've got Will Ospreay, who's English, you've got so many other brilliant stars that are English. Simon, I'd really want to see Simon versus Ospreay just to see what it would be like.
Me and Miller were having a chat, actually. Is a little behind the curtain little thing. So we were having a chat last time we were in the headquarters together, and he was saying we should make a tag team. He was like, you should start wrestling. We'll be a tag team.
Have you trained to wrestle?
I've not trained to wrestle. I've done a bit of MMA training, but no real wrestling training. But he said the idea would be that we're two eggheads and he just throws me at people, which would be great. I'd be up for that. Just the flying eggs. What do we got there?
Like, if you think that we're going to go on to Dream Cards in a minute, little hint here. But I think the UK independents are going to have a massive resurgence in. If you put a show in Manchester, because like where they do all the Sidemen charity events, like a smaller, like a Southampton, like a St Mary's, I reckon you could do good numbers on the St Mary's.
Yeah.
If you get Ospreay, Keith Lee, Rockstar Spud, Nixon Newell.
The talent's there, and the audience is there. We're champing at the bit for a big British show.
It's going to happen in September.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see.
Today is Wales Comic Con, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I saw it last night, and I was like, oh, how far is Wales away from here? It's like an hour and a bit. And then I looked at prices, and I'm like, I like Britt Baker, but I'm not paying 80 quid to have a photo with her.
Well, Whatculture's Andrew Pollard is, I believe he's there having a chat with Bret Hart and everyone. He's doing a few interviews. So
that's pretty cool.
Keep your eyes peeled on Twitter for him, because I'm sure he'll pop a few little clips and a few little tidbits on there. Little cheeky plug there for you, Pollard.
What I love about AEW at the moment is, and free agents, is I can't get any WWE interviews because you just can't. Because they're under third party and all this and all that. And I've had a few names in NXT, a certain women's tag team, who are very good, and one of them is very flippy. You can work out who that is.
Yeah.
They are very active on Instagram, and I chat to them a lot and stuff. But they're so down to do an interview, but they're not allowed, and it's like, oh, it'd be so good.
Yeah, it's just one of them, really.
I love how AEW, you could just send an email to an AEW talent and like,
AEW get it. I believe, like in that kind of arena anyway, where they just know that it's good. It's good fan outreach. It really helps build the audience, and when it just shows that these talents are willing to just spend that time just getting to know who's effectively paying the wages to a certain degree. Like without that support from the fans, obviously AEW doesn't become what it is. And I think Tony Khan's very clued up on that, and he's just trying to build as strong a bond as possible with it.
Like I would love to just have a 2-minute conversation with Tony Khan.
Seems like a lovely guy.
Out what his mind is.
Yeah.
I love how a wrestling fan is running a wrestling show.
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it'd be successful in a wrestling fan?
A massive wrestling fan is now running a wrestling company that is exceptional. Like the names they've got this year, like Bryan Danielson. Well, I wasn't a big fan of in WWE. I'm going to be honest. I never got him.
I'm joking.
Not for me. Like,
I get it.
And then the heel character in AEW, I'm like, yes, I want to boo you. This works. Like, you're brilliant.
Gonna say his Planet's Champion was up there for me. I was a big fan of Planet's Champion Brian. That was chef's kiss for me.
And then you've got like CM Punk, which I'm not. I'm one of these that I think MJF CM Punk's going to be brilliant. Like, Like when that came out, I popped so much. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that was just like, oh,
Big
that's a
moment.
match we wanted.
Oh, we're just on the edge of it. By the time this comes out, we've got to be very much in the thick of that
Yeah,
rivalry. So I'm sure we'll
Chicago.
see
I've
what
not watched
unfolds.
Rampage yet, so I don't know if anything's happened. But I know Chicago's next week. Just imagine MJF beating CM Punk in Chicago, which should happen.
You're gonna have that shirt ready. It's gonna be needed.
I think you might also need a human barrier, so MJF is still alive by the time he enters that arena.
Yeah, I fear for his safety. I'll be honest. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
messy night for MJF.
So, one last thing, unless there's anything you want to mention quickly or anything.
I've just enjoyed the experience. Really, it's been a pleasure. Genuinely,
Thank
it's
you.
been a very easygoing interview. So I'm quite happy.
I think
Nice
at the
way to spend your
start
Saturday.
of doing these, I was very like, had a list of questions, and I was like, I need to ask this, and then I realized like, I enjoy watching interviews that are more like a chat,
Yeah.
and they're more like, I prefer having a chat because, like you said,
Yeah.
there isn't wrestling fans like. I don't have friends that are wrestling fans. Talking to people that are wrestling fans, it's just brilliant. Like, it's wonderful. So I'm going to announce now that I've got a series coming out in start of next year called Dream Card, which I don't know whether I'm going to do it on 2K20 or 2K22. 2K22 looks incredible. I can't
Oh
wait
yeah.
for the game to come out.
GM mode's back.
I know. Like, I've never been a WWE 2K20 is the only game I've ever played.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
I still play it now because, like, it's the only thing I've got.
Treat yourself to Here Comes the Pain, right? Just.
Can you get that on
treat yourself.
Xbox?
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. I think it might be a PlayStation exclusive one, but even just to get a PlayStation 2 and play on that was my jam.
That's going to be probably something I'll do.
Ooh, that's a game.
Like,
That's a game.
it's
That's
good.
my.
Like, I
best
was
end.
always a FIFA guy, right?
Oh yeah.
This year, I've had enough.
I've not gone near it this year. I'm with you. I've not touched it.
I'm in previous times I would just waste all my money on it and keep the power curve, but this year I'm like, I'm kind of bothered.
Same stuff.
I don't have the money for it. I don't have the time for it anymore, and it's not particularly a good game.
It's not. It's like if it's something where it's going to really captivate you and keep you riveted, you're like, I'll pay that 60 quid because I'm going to get a good time out of it. But when it's just paying 60 quid to just get an update, it's not really
worth it. Like 2K, although it's rubbish, I think there's so much you can do with it.
Yeah.
Like, the game might crash every 10 minutes, but like, I enjoy it. So before we started this, I did ask you this, and this will be cut out and edited into the new one. But this is either going to come out like either January or February or April sometime. Because my idea behind this is the interviews I get with wrestling people, I ask them this, I can make another video out of it.
Okay.
So, what would be your dream women's match? It can be as many people as you want.
Currently or past?
Of all time.
Of all time.
Anyone.
Wow, that's a big one. Right, dream women's match. I go.
Note this down.
I'd probably go Becky. Becky being there, just the character is just immense. I think she'd mesh well with anyone really of any generation. Becky Lynch versus Lita, I think would be outstanding.
That
Just
could happen.
A one-on-one, just two punkish, just don't give a toss characters, just colliding, no nonsense, just stunts. You'd have Lita doing a moonsault, just do a table or something, and Becky with a promo. It'd just be brilliant. I'd be all about that. Give me Becky versus Lita one-on-one. That's what it's all about.
Again, this could happen. It could.
Hey, you never know. She's still knocking about, Lita. You never know.
I've got a controversial take here. I'm a massive fan of Liv Morgan. I think she should beat Becky.
It'd be interesting. It'd be a big shock.
I really think she should.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
I think Becky doesn't need the belt to be Becky.
She doesn't, but she's got a nice little claim to fame that she can say she never technically lost that belt, and I think WWE are going to hold on to that for a bit.
Becky's such a big fan of Liv Morgan. Like, she wants to elevate her, and I think either she wins the title or she wins the Royal Rumble.
I'd be happy with either. I'll be
Yeah.
diplomatic with that. I'd be happy with either one of those, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel like Bianca Belair is being put into a very specific position coming into WrestleMania. That's all I'll say.
See, I
about
don't
that.
think she should win 2 Royal Rumbles in a row.
Might not have
And
to.
I'll give this to Bianca. I didn't like her when she won the Rumble. I thought she couldn't cut a promo. She's brilliant in the ring, but her promos were awful. She is exceptional. Like, her promos have got so much better.
Put the work in. She's really put the work
have.
in. Got to salute her.
Men's singles match.
Men's singles of all time again,
Of all time.
Of all time, right. There's the temptation just to go multi-man here, just to try and get in as many people as possible. There's definitely that. But I'll go one-on-one again, because the greatest matches in my memory have always been one-on-one. I go Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Versus. I'm trying to think of matches that haven't happened.
It doesn't have to be in WWE. It can be
Shawn Michaels versus Kenny Omega. Book it. There you go. There you go.
Great.
You're welcome.
That's going to be a fun one.
Cracker. It was a toss-up between him and Hangman there, and I was like, no, I'm going to go.
That Hangman pop. Because All Out, I didn't watch it live. I watched the first hour live and went to bed. Because I knew if Hangman won, I couldn't help screaming. I'm not going to wake up my house at 5 a.m. again. Because I'd rather wait, get up early and watch it and be able to enjoy it. And that nod from... That's in my intro. And AEW haven't copyrighted it.
Oh.
Great. So I've got to put that nod in there.
Just one of them, yeah. That's very good, very good.
Little thumbs up. What about a tag match?
Tag match.
Anytime.
Young Bucks are in there, no matter what. So Young Bucks versus the Hart Foundation. Throw it in there. That's the one.
I thought you were going to say New Day then.
New Day would have been good, yeah, for a modern, modern spectacular. But come on, Hart Foundation against the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have the audacity to wear pink as well. That'd be fun. That'd be good.
What about a gimmick match? So it can be Extreme Rules, Elimination Chamber.
Just anyone. That is my favorite sort of gimmick match. Just anyone.
Any gimmick match.
Any gimmick match. That's a good question. I'm a sucker for a TLC when it's done right. When it's not just put in there because the pay-per-view is called TLC. So I'm one of them. When you've got I remember Edge and Jeff Hardy had a cracker. And it was in a time when it was obviously coming into PG territory as well, which is quite hard to kind of pull off.
NXT is coming out of that.
Sorry?
NXT is coming out of that, reportedly.
Reportedly, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But TLC for me, when it's done because the feud warrants it, much better. I mean, Hell in the Cell's great, but I just like seeing John Cena and Edge when John Cena attitude adjustment and Edge straight through the table.
That was brilliant. I've gone back and watched a lot of the classic stuff. I'll just sit and watch Raws from 2000 and just be like, oh, this was good. I wish I was.
Oh, it's crazy time.
What would be your dream TLC match?
Dream TLC match?
Yeah.
Edge is going to be in it because one of the kings of TLC, and then throw AJ in there. Why not? AJ Styles.
I really want to see that match.
We could see that match. I think I pitched that to go down at WrestleMania on one of our prediction videos. I think that'd be
because obviously Triple H can't happen anymore.
I know.
Hopefully he's back though. I don't know if you've seen that video.
He's been spotted, yeah, but he's not. He should.
He's not. I never want him to wrestle again.
He just needs to put his feet up because that's
happy and shout with
Vince. He's healthy. Yeah.
And then your dream, as in your dream match. You could have any match ever. That's never happened before. What would you pick?
Just any match.
Anyone, anything. Just a dream match.
This is okay. I'm just spitballing here. And it probably would have to go down in AEW.
We're in a universe where nothing exists.
Exactly.
We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But this, I think, a Royal Rumble concept where it's tag teams. So it's one of those where you kind of get a tag team coming down every and both teams come down. It's not just the 1-1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the tag team titles need to be promoted and put up to a position where it's something to possess in the same vein of a world title. And I think AEW's on the way. They are building out to be this prestigious thing. So I'd have like a tag team Royal Rumble, and it's not the most adventurous like probably match out there, but I just think for stakes, if there's a promotion in the world right now that has enough tag teams to do something like this, it doesn't necessarily have to be 30 tag teams. It could be if they could probably find 30. Throw them together. Winner gets the world championship shot at what's probably their version of WrestleMania right now. It's probably Double or Nothing, isn't it?
Double or Nothing.
Yeah. So the winner gets the tag team title shot in the main event of Double or Nothing. Put it on the main event. Make it mean something. Let's do it.
Oh, this has been a lovely chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Really enjoyed this.
Likewise.
Is there anything you would like to shout out? I will leave all your links in the description below.
Very
and
nice.
I hope people have enjoyed. If you have, like and subscribe. Start this new year. We've got a documentary 12-part series coming out over this year. We've got dream cards, we've got interviews, we've got loads of stuff coming this year. And hopefully some stuff I haven't decided yet, but hopefully we'll start to implement. And my production value is going to get a lot better. If you've got any advice on good editing softwares or good other stuff, please leave it in the comments and I will have a look into it. So I will see you next time. A massive thank you to Gareth, and I will see you with my next video.